Hi, I'm Jeremy Crosby.
And I'm Nick Boucher. We're the hosts for the program that's all about your city, Talking Fitchburg.
Every day, we pull together the news, events, and information you need to stay on top of what's happening in the city of Fitchburg.
Find Talking Fitchburg on cable TV, Roku, Amazon Fire, Apple TV, and our live stream on the web. Plus, you can view all our headlines and stories on Facebook, YouTube, and our video on demand service. This is your city.
Keep up with Talking Fitchburg and the issues that affect you and your neighbors.
Want to know what's happening in your city? Get Notify Me messages from the City of Fitchburg. Visit fitchburgwi.gov on your computer or mobile device and select the big Notify Me button on the left. Enter your email and/or phone number, whichever is best for you to get notifications. Scroll down the list and select all the topics you're interested in to receive email or text messages about. You'll be notified every time one of your topics is updated. Sign up for Notify Me, one more way to keep up with your Fitchburg government.
Call to order the meeting of Fitchburg Board of Public Works for Monday, February 17th, 2025, being held here at the Francis Huntley Cooper Council Chambers. Tonight we have Don, myself, Bill, and Council. Kim is via Zoom. Dave Wilborn is off with excuse, and Director of Public Works, Tim Volker, is also via Zoom. Next we have appearances for non-agenda items, which we have none tonight. So at this time, I will entertain a motion to, get my screen back, to approve the minutes of the previous Board of Public Works meeting.
I motion we approve the minutes.
Okay.
Second.
Okay. So we have a motion to approve the February 3rd Board of Public Works minutes. Do we have any comments, changes, corrections? Okay. Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of approval of the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? The minutes are approved. Next item, agenda item 4, report of the Director of Public Works, Mr. Tim Volker, PE.
Thank you. A couple project updates for this evening. The Sain Road reconstruction project on Thursday, February 27th of next week. WSDOT will be having the pre-construction meeting for Phase 3. We're still working in-house to schedule the pre-con for Phase 2. So Phase 3 is the segment of that project that is being managed by WSDOT due to the grant that the city received. Our 2025 street resurfacing project, we advertised that project this past Friday, February 14th. Another advertisement will be in the Wisconsin State Journal this coming Friday, February 21st. And then bids will be opened on Friday, February 28th for that project. And then lastly, our Tower D, that's our new water tower. And we held a pre-construction meeting on February 5th, 2025. The contractor is anticipated to start the site grading for that project in April of this year. He is also looking to complete the foundation in June of this year. And then there's going to kind of be a lull until December. They'll be working on kind of the steel procurement for that water tower, and then also the steel fabrication. And then they'll look to erect the water tower starting in December 2025. And site erection is anticipated to last through April 2026. And then substantial completion is anticipated of June of next year. With that, does anyone have any questions?
None, Bill? Tim, I just have one. Will we be tied into our system when the tower is connected to start pumping into it? Will the main be there to start utilizing the tower right away when it's completed?
I don't believe right away. I think there will be some lull because some wells are getting taken offline in the south zone. And then also there's some reservoir work. I'm not entirely sure if that's anticipated to be complete by the end of June also.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Bill?
Yeah, just out of curiosity, how many gallons is this new tower, and how long does it take to go from empty to full?
It depends.
So the new tower, new tower is 600,000 gallons, and the last question is a very good question. I can ask Tracy to see how long that would take to fill up and report back at the next Board of Public Works meeting.
Yeah, we're typically filling at night, and then draw down during the day. So, but you get a fire, you drain it pretty quick, or people watering their lawns. It's a good question, Bill. Whether it could be an hour or it could be 10 hours. I don't know. It depends on the usage, I guess. Yeah. All right. Anything else? Then we'll move on to our agenda items. The first one is 5A, Resolution R 2525. Approval of a contract between City of Fitchburg and Sustained Dane for implementation of Phase 1 Project of Efficiency Navigator Program. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to approve R 2525.
Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Bill.
I'll second.
Bill beat you to it. I'll get you the next one. All right.
Ah, that's all right. There's always a delay here.
All right. We have a young lady who would like to talk to us about it. I see her. Can you hear us all right?
Good evening, everyone.
Thank you.
My name is Joyce Fry, and I am the Economic Development Specialist, and I've been working on the Efficiency Navigator program for about 2 years now. I just want to provide a little bit of background and then explain to you why we're at the Board of Public Works. I think that's probably one of the questions that most of you are asking. So the Efficiency Navigator program is a program that's a collaboration between Sustained Dane and Elevate Energy. And what they do is they go into properties that are where the tenants are at 80% of the Dane County median income or less that pay the utilities. And what they do is they basically go in, do an energy audit, and then they put together a list of projects where they can see a significant reduction in their utility costs. So as far as the funding for this project, the city capitalized 3 TID districts, and we have about $9.5 million that need to be used for affordable housing. And so in 2019, we did an affordable housing plan, and one of the priorities out of that plan was to start working on our older multifamily housing units and get them updated and more, bless you, energy efficient. And so that's what we're working on, is utilizing some of the dollars in that housing fund. We have set aside $390,000 out of the 9.5, and our focus right now is on the healthy neighborhoods. So that would be the Jamestown neighborhood, North Fish Hatchery Road, Dunn's Marsh, and Southdale. So we've had the energy audits done, and we're ready to move forward with the actual installation of these energy efficient elements. But we decided, based upon where the bids were coming back, to split this into 2 parts. So originally I was going to come and ask for, every project to be approved at once. But we decided to split it into 2 because we're hoping that there's some dollars made available for rebates for some heat pumps and some other items. And we also were awarded a community change grant. However, we have not received the the funding yet. And that is a joint effort with the city of Madison. And so we can do some pretty significant changes with those dollars. So we decided to wait and see where the money comes in from the government. And if we're successful in getting the $20 million that we were awarded, we can do a lot more. So the reason why I'm coming to you tonight is because this is something we've never done before, where we've actually hired a third party to go out and actually do the work without any kind of real oversight by the city. So what we do is we provide the funding, Sustain, Dane, and Elevate actually hire the contractors, oversee the work, and we just pay them. But we decided we needed to have some type of checks and balances, and Tim really didn't feel like comfortable being the guy. So we really have a collaboration between our Public Works Department and our Building Inspection Department to kind of oversee any change orders. So that's why we brought it to you.
Thank you, Joyce. Questions?
Yep.
Bill, you want to go first?
Sure. Hey, Joyce. You did mention bids, and I wasn't sure reading through here. I'm assuming these guys are probably sticking with Focus on Energy Trade Allies for their contractors, and I was wondering, first of all, is that true? And secondly, do they go through an RFP process, or do they just have specific contractors that they always work with?
If you look at the contract that we put together, it states in there that they did a lot of outreach to like the Latino Academy, the Wisconsin Latino Chamber. We put it in, we advertised on FACTv. It was in the Fitchburg Star. So yeah, Elevate has several contractors that they work with, but we also made it available to others. So.
Anything else, Bill?
Does Elevate pick the contractor?
Yep, it's based on a bid process. So, you know, I believe it's a low bid is what they took.
Don?
I just probably more for my education, Joyce, but Sustain, Dane, do they vet the landlords out? I mean, if you got a bad character here, are we awarding them money if they're a bad character?
So, the landlord does go through a vetting process, which is, they call it an intake, where they actually go out to the property, talk with the property owners. They met with some of the tenants as well. And then they do interviews. And we also checked, you know, to make sure that they're in good standings with, you know, taxes and things like utilities. So, I mean, we did vet them as much as we possibly can as far as what's legally possible.
Do they have, do the landlords have, or the owners have skin in the game here? I mean, if you do these upgrades and you update it, are they going to just charge more rent and then the folks there that need the affordable housing can no longer live there? Are they committed to keeping affordable housing for extended period of time, or?
So they're asked to sign a community benefits, which says that they will not raise the rent any higher than HUD eligibility limits. So, and that's for a 5-year period.
Thank you.
Kim? Did you have anything?
Nope, still digesting it all.
Okay, I have two questions, Joyce. So the first one you mentioned, you know, there was a 3.5 million from, excess TID, and you said we have to, required us to use that for housing. Is there a requirement, or is that something that the mayor and council decided? I don't know. There's nothing contractually, is there?
No, that's based on statute.
Okay.
So if what that means is we kept our TID districts open for an additional year, and we captured the increment from that additional year. And it has to be used 70% for affordable housing and the remaining 30 for housing in general.
Okay, thank you. That's a good explanation. Then a follow up on the kind of follow up a little bit from Don. Like if you there's companies going around, Everbright, a number of them that come and put solar on your house, and basically you're kind of paying it by a reduction in your utility bill. It's kind of how they sell it. Your bill goes down, and then that money goes to them to pay for it. Is there anything here? We make these improvements, the utilities that the residents are paying go down. Is there a mechanism there that we recoup some of this so that the money then can be kind of rolled over and used somewhere else? It would be, if we're doing this and we improve their efficiency and able to keep the utility payment the same, and the differential comes back to us. Is that an option?
I guess it could have been an option, but we chose not to do that. And that's part of the reason why we waited with doing the second projects, because those are some bigger dollars. Like some of those properties, I believe, will be getting some new windows, possibly some new appliances, things like that. So we just, at this point, because the dollars were specifically earmarked by statute, we felt that this was a good use of the dollars. I mean, this is just one program and a small portion of the dollars that we have. So, and our goal is if we get the $20 million, we can replenish what we've already put out there.
Well, I would encourage you to look at that option. Improve their efficiency, and it's kind of a continuing stream. And similar to the Habitat for Humanity model, where people get the house and then the mortgage is paying to help the next people. The next house we're building, and rather than an outlay of tax dollars, is what this is. You can say what you want, but it's still taxpayer money, and so I'd like to consider that in the future. All right.
Well, but Joyce, isn't it true that the entire goal of this is to lower the payments for the people or the tenants there?
Correct. It is. It's for affordable housing for people who need that are already living in conditions that they can't afford to be in. And I'm going to correct you, Dave, on one thing. You said they're tax dollars. However, if we didn't have these dollars, we wouldn't be making the improvements. And TID dollars are not just Fitchburg dollars. They're the school district, they're the county, they're the VOTEC. So there's other people helping us help these people. So I guess I just want to set the record straight on that. If we didn't have TID dollars, we would have nothing to help them.
Yeah. Please don't lecture me. TID is taxpayer dollars, please. Don't. Thank you, Joyce.
Well,
I don't mean to be rude. I appreciate your correction. I appreciate your explanation.
For the viewing audience, it's important for them to know that that there's more than just the city participating in this program.
Thank you, Joyce. Kim?
Yep.
I'm sorry, I wasn't paying attention.
I have a question on, does Elevate do basically the inspection? So if they're putting insulation in the attic and there's so much requirements of how much insulation and things they're putting in, do they go in and verify that that much was put in, or is that something that is on the public works staff from the city of Fitchburg?
Both. So they oversee the contractors, but they're still required to get a permit through building inspection. So there will be kind of a check and balance.
Joyce, I had one more.
And also the approval
I'm sorry,
on the
Kim.
change
Go ahead.
orders. The approval on the change orders, does that come from Elevate or does that come from the city?
That comes from the city.
Okay.
Thank you, Kim. I'll just follow up on that, Joyce. The change orders, I would ask that change orders have to, before the work is done, they need to be approved by the city. You know, they can't, well, this needs to be done, they do it and they come back, well, we had to do a change. No. Any change, they need to get written approval before they do that work, because we've been down this road a number of times. I know I'm making things more difficult for you, but that's the only way to hold everyone. You know, they have to get approval before they can do the work, and I trust, you know, we'll have a relatively, you know, fast response on these, but we've been burned badly in the past on these change orders like this, that they're doing the work and then come along and say, well, you know, we had to do it, and then we're stuck. So please follow that model if you wouldn't mind. Okay.
There is verbiage in the agenda packet about, you know, who gets to approve at various dollar levels.
Okay. Well, I would just ask, you know, that they, before the work is done, that the approval is received. That's how the rest of the world works.
I think it specifically says that, except if it's in an emergency,
Okay.
then they can go with some kind of a verbal or whatever and then get all the written paperwork later. But that was specifically specified in there too.
Sounds good. Any other questions?
And that was
Sorry.
That was one area of the contract that Tim, John, and I both tightened the language quite a bit. The change orders, so we felt pretty comfortable. I mean, we have $500, and you really can't do a whole lot for $500. So we made sure that was pretty tight.
Thank you for your diligence on that. I appreciate it. Bill.
Yep.
Yeah, a couple of questions on the properties. How old is the Deer Valley properties there? I looked on DCI maps, and it shows them in 1974, but I'm not sure how much older than that they are.
Well, I'm going to say that they were late 60s or early 70s.
Okay.
When I worked out there, I feel like most of them were maybe the 70 vintage. Very similar to the rest of our housing stock.
Yeah. Some of the remediation listed in there was they were just going to poke a hole in the drywall and fill up the cavity with, cellulose. And I was wondering, are those things, they have to be insulated, right?
Not always.
Are those walls not insulated? Because that'll be huge.
It's hard to say, Bill. You know.
And then I guess the other one is the Smithfield Drive. Again, I was playing on DCI maps, and I saw that entire area there was completely, it was bare ground in 1976, and then the next more recent date was 1987, and that whole area was built out. Is that entire area over there kind of in the same situation?
Yes.
Well, Bill, if you recall when we did our neighborhood walks,
Yep.
and I specifically took you to Smithfield to show you some of the foundations, the windows, the chimneys, the doors. I would say there's an area that really needs some attention.
Yeah.
That's all I'll say.
I mean, that whole area there, there were many dozens, Smithfield and then immediate west for a couple of blocks, there's an awful lot of development that occurred at the same time, and I'm afraid that they all kind of probably need the same sort of treatments.
Bill, I would encourage you to talk to Gabe in our building inspection. He's got some very specific things he would like to tell you about those condition of those properties. I'm sure Joyce is well aware too. But I would encourage you to talk to Gabe. He'll maybe enlighten you a little bit. They're in bad. As Joyce mentioned, they need. It might be easier to start over, but I don't want to get into that. Anything else?
Just one final question on some of these. They have whole building containment. Are the tenants in the buildings, or are they relocated as part of this effort?
No one will be relocated.
So they'll be living inside a fully contained.
Right. We're not doing carpets or painting or things like that. So we're doing more of the energy efficient weather stripping, insulation, window replacement on a few.
Okay. This one they're cleaning black staining in the attic, and they're fully containing the building. I just wondering if the tenants are going to be inside.
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you.
The one has in the item here, it says cleaning black staining and whole building containment. So I was just wondering if the residents are going to be in there during all that. Sounds like they are.
Is that the one in the attic?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Anything else? Thank you, Joyce. We appreciate your time. At this time, we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R2525, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
Motion carries. Thank you, Joyce. Next, we'll move on to Resolution R3725, acceptance Fish Hatchery Road water main replacement bids. We have a motion to approve.
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetser. Do we have a second?
You can give Kim the second.
I'll second.
Second by Kim. Okay. So we had a water main break under Fish Hatchery by 9 Springs, and as I understand, we're going to have to directional bore to replace this. This is critical, or I would say emergency, and it's I believe we're a lot of money. It's like $375,000. Tim, you want to fill in the details here on this one?
Yes, so we had a water main break on Fish Hatchery Road under 9 Springs Creek. It's critical that we restore this main for reliability, fire flow, and redundancy purposes. Public Works has prepared construction plans and specs and obtained competitive bids for replacement of the main. The project was advertised by legal notice in the Wisconsin State Journal on January 15th, 2025 and January 22nd, 2025, as well as posted on questcdn.com. On January 29th, 2025, we received 2 sealed bids that were publicly opened with the results listed on the attached bid tab. Low bidder was Speedway Sand and Gravel Incorporated with a bid of $298,347.70, which was found to be in conformance with bidding requirements. We're looking for council to approve the award of the Fish Hatchery Road water main replacement project to Speedway Sand and Gravel for a total amount of $328,182.47, and that includes a 10% contingency. And that as part of this resolution, there's also a budget amendment. We need to amend the 2025 water utility budget to redirect $329,000 from the McKee Road water main replacement project to our emergency water main repairs project. And then we also are looking for council to direct staff to include the required 2024 budget carryover amount for this project in the annual carryover resolution that is anticipated in March of 2025.
Couple of questions quick, then I'll turn it to the board. This happened, before you came here, but this wasn't replaced when we did Fish Hatchery Road, am I correct? Do you have any sense?
Correct. This break actually did happen about a year ago in February 2024. So we were able to isolate the valve since then. We did advertise in late 2024, I believe it was July or August. However, we received no bids for the project. And then if we were to have put it back out at that time, we never would have got the asphalt down on Fish Hatchery Road. So we made the decision to put it off till January and get this project bid so that a contractor could start as soon as spring hits this year.
It'd be my guess that we did this to ourselves with the Fish Hatchery Road work. Nothing I can do about it now. How large is that main? 10 inch?
It's I believe a 12 inch.
12 inch? Okay. All right.
The drawings in the agenda packet show a 10-inch pipe, and the piece we're going to replace it with is 12-inch with some couplers in there.
Are we directional boring next to it? What's the? I couldn't tell on there. My eyes aren't very good. The geometry. Are we boring right? I assume we're boring right next to it, or below it, or above it.
The bore's going to go down and then come back up. So the entry and exit pit for the bore will be in the travel lane of Fish Hatchery Road.
So the road will be closed, or one lane at a time while we're doing this work, I assume, or maybe the entire road?
Yeah, one lane we could probably shut down and still have one lane open for this work.
Okay, thank you. Board members, I'm sorry to monopolize the discussion.
How old was this water main? I guess I was assuming that it was replaced with North Fitch Hatchery Road and something just went wrong, but I mean, this is like a once-in-a-generation road construction project, so I guess that main couldn't have been too old.
Yeah, I don't have the answer, Bill. Maybe Tim can.
Yeah, I can. Let me just take a look at our GIS, see if there's any information on the age in there. If there isn't, I can check with Tracy and kind of the decision on why the city didn't include that in Fish at the time.
Well, if you don't, have her get back to the board. I think we all would like to know that. I would say it was probably a design decision. We probably hadn't had any problems with it prior and showed it was in good shape. But you're doing a lot of pounding and doing a lot of work above. I'm sure we caused the damage. Any board members, any other questions?
I was going to ask.
Our GIS looks like it has the year 1969.
Yeah, I was going to guess it was original. Original. Okay. Thank you, Tim.
So maybe I'm reading this wrong, but I mean, it does show a 10-inch diameter to 12-inch diameter transition for this length. It looks like a 10-inch main was broken, and we're going to replace it with a 12-inch.
Yes, that is correct. So with HDPE pipe, the inside diameter is the same as a 10-inch ductile iron. Reason it's a 12-inch is the wall thickness of an HDPE pipe eats into that capacity. So you have to actually install a larger HDPE pipe to get a 10-inch, the same 10-inch inside diameter of a ductile iron.
Okay.
Good explanation.
That makes sense.
Yep. Thank you. Don or Kim? All right. Thank you. Then call the vote. All in favor of resolution R3725, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries. Next we have 5 Charlie, resolution R3825, amending the 2024 general fund budget streetlight repairs, and city hall utilities. We have a motion to approve. Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Alder Jetser. So again, our streetlight repairs are higher than budgeted, and it's cost us more than we expect to light and heat the building and cool the building. Is that in a nutshell, Tim?
Correct.
So we're amending the general fund budget. Are we just asking for additional funds, or are we transferring from another account?
So both would be transferred from in a different account. So within our general fund budget, we had an available balance of $7,500 from our public works repair and maintenance supplies. So we came in under budgeted there, where we can move that money to cover the overage in the street lights. And then with the additional utilities that we saw at City Hall, there was some available funding at the community center, where the repairs and maintenance at the community center came in under budget. So we're moving about $9,894 from there. And then also $3,781 from City Hall repairs and maintenance, since that came in under to kind of cover the overage that we saw at City Hall for the utilities and telephone.
Thank you, Tim. Excellent explanation. Board? Don?
Tim,
I have a question.
Okay.
go ahead, Kim.
Go ahead, Kim.
So I can understand the streetlight repairs is like, more of them went out or whatever, there's more work. But the utilities, why is the utility cost so much higher? Is it because of increase in costs or bad weather? And in light of that, when you set the budget for the following year, are you going to use this as the base so we're not running short every year?
Yes, very good question. So when we establish the budget, we kind of look at the past 5 years, and we'll use that average to budget. So, with this uptick, the 2026 budget will kind of capture what we saw. And then also 2025, we were able to capture it too by looking at the past 5 years. As for why the utility bill was higher, we did have our solar panels out for a couple months while the repairs were being made, so that attributed to it. Also, it could be due to our boilers too. We set the boilers, I believe, were set at a specific temperature, and it's based on the outside temperature. There's certain rooms within City Hall that remain cold, so we had to bump that temperature up. So say the boiler, they remain on unless the temperature hits 70 degrees outside. So if temperature is 68 degrees outside, the boilers are still going. So that temperature was increased to keep the rooms within City Hall that we were receiving complaints on, that it was too cold. So that was another reason the utility bill was increased based on prior years.
Okay, thank you.
Don?
Tim, my question's more from an asset management standpoint. Is the 2024 street light increase just an anomaly, or is our infrastructure aging at such a rate that you're going to have to start budgeting more for this?
Kind of based on the last question, the 5 years will kind of capture, the years where we go up or down. Kind of why we saw the increase is these streetlight repairs are due to accidents. So, if a car were to slide off the street, or if there was a drunk driver. So it's kind of hard, that varies year by year. Weather events play a big role into it. If there was a lot of ice or snow, you're going to see an increase. This year, with, not a lot of snow in January, that might be a decrease. But now, with that ice event last week, I think there was just 3 off that one ice event last week, Wednesday night. So
maybe I got a subset question then. If most of them are based on crashes, don't we recoup those costs from the person?
yes, yep. As long as we can get the driver, if the driver drives off and the police don't get a plate, or there's no witnesses or cameras, we're unable to recoup that. But we do, as long as we can get the driver, we do file an insurance claim and recoup that cost eventually.
Thank you.
Anyone else? No. Okay. We'll call the vote. All in favor? Go ahead, Bill.
Yeah, well, regarding the city hall stuff, is this also part of was it the climate controls that had to be manually adjusted on a daily basis for quite a while? Is this part of that?
I believe that was part of the air handlers, not necessarily when I spoke to Kevin, our building maintenance this morning, he specifically mentioned the boilers, didn't mention the issue that we had with the handlers, which I believe are still waiting to be repaired. So I think they're 2 separate items, but I can verify with Kevin and follow up with you guys at the next Board of Public Works.
Good question. Anything else? All right. Then we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R3825 signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. Next, we have Resolution R4225 approving First Amendment to license with T-Mobile Central LLC for communication equipment on Tower E. Do we have a motion to approve?
Motion to
Approval.
Second.
Okay, moved by Alder Jetzer, second by Don. So T-Mobile pays to be up on our water tower, and I'm trying to remember when I read through what was the term of the license, or how many years is it? Are we upping another 5 years, or
25.
25
years.
So they've been on there for 25 years, or are they going on there new?
I believe it's been on there 15 years.
Yeah,
Okay.
that's what it says, 15, and they're going to extend for another 25.
Okay, thank you. Okay. Board?
Are all our towers a revenue maker where we can offer more cell coverage with other companies?
Yes, I believe Tracy's also working on an AT&T renewal that you guys will be seeing shortly here. And AT&T, I'm not sure on how long they've been on our water towers, but yeah, we do have multiple carriers on our towers.
Good question. Now,
Can you give us some background as to why the city has agreed to reducing the escalator from 4% to 3%?
Yes, so the previous lease was 15 years, so T-Mobile's willing to sign a 25-year lease, so it's 5-year renewals was one of the reasons. And then also our leases are on the higher end. Tracy did check with the city of Madison and kind of what they're getting for their water towers. So we felt comfortable with the longer lease, and with our leases already being on the high end, to decrease that escalator from 4 down to 3%, so as not to lose T-Mobile. If they were to go somewhere else, there's always that possibility. And we kind of looking into rents also, we felt 3% was a comfortable enough number.
Thank you.
Bill?
And do we think this is going to be a thing on Tower D as well?
Yes, Tower D is being built to have the ability to have a mobile carrier on it.
And I noticed in the packet, it said, we make about as much money as we need to repaint every 20 years or so.
That was my question. When we have to repaint, do we, is it, cost a lot more to get around those facilities, or, assume sometimes things have to be disconnected for the painting? I don't know if you know the answer to that or not, Tim,
I don't believe it is any more difficult for the painting with these facilities. I believe, talking with Tracy, T-Mobile's been a very good tenant. They really don't bother us. They've had maybe one upgrade in that 15 years where we hired a consultant to kind of work with them, and that cost was a pass-through cost to T-Mobile. They'll reach out every now and again for access, but really they tend to leave us alone, and it's really a good money revenue source for the city.
Do they have a separate? Is there a separate meter in the bottom of the? They're getting, they need power for their devices. Is there a separate meter in the bottom, or is that part of the lease that we supply the power?
I believe there's a separate meter that they would be on the hook for, but I can confirm that.
Okay. Don't spend much time on it. It's any other questions on it? Kim, anything? Nope. Okay.
Nope.
Then we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 4225 approving First Amendment to license T-Mobile Central on Tower E signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? The motion carries. Next, we have Resolution R 4325 amending 2024 Water Fund and Sewer Fund budgets, purchase power, and MMSD charges. We have a motion to approve.
I move approval.
Moved by Alder Jetzer. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Don. So MMSD hit us, I believe it was a 4%. Does that sound right, Bill?
Between 4 and 5.
Between 4 and 5, which was, we were afraid it was going to be about 10. I'm never happy, but 4%. And I'm assuming the water, they were just pumping more water as the city grows, plus the MG&E rates continue to rise. Is that essentially what we're looking at here, Tim?
Yeah, it's really for the increase in water that the city purchased, and then obviously there's a waste then comes off that water. So, all the wastewater is a pass through to the residents. So there was just an increase in the wastewater to MMSD this past year, just more residents, more water use. So that's kind of why it didn't have anything to do with the rates.
So you mentioned purchased power, right? Is what you're saying, not purchased water. Like my neighborhood, we're fed from Madison. We got to pay, but this is purchased power and the sewer charges is what this is about.
Yeah, there's two separate budget amendments here. There was one, associated with the electricity to run the power cost for our water pumps at the wells. And then there's also increase in MMSD charges just due to more flows going to their plant. So the resident, that cost is just a pass through, that $147,120.
Yep.
And then the increase in power costs that we saw at our wells, we had some available funding in our repair of our water mains account. So we're just removing $19,620 from that account to cover the overage in the power costs account.
Yep. Thank you. Questions for Kim? Anything?
Nope, I'm good.
Seeing none, we'll call the vote. All in favor of Resolution R 4325 signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
The motion carries. It takes us next to announcements. Our next Board of Public Works meeting is Monday, March 3rd at 5:30. If anyone can't make it, please let me know. At this time, I would entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion adjourned.
Moved by Don. Do we have a second?
Second.
Second by Bill. All in favor of adjournment, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
Aye.
We are adjourned at 6:19. Thank you, Tim. Appreciate your time.